Welcome back to the issue. We apologize for the extended time today. We just couldn't let John Germain leave the studios, but we hope you will stick and stay and bear with us a few more minutes. Today on the issue, we have a very important topic to discuss. We are looking at mental health service delivery in Ghana. And with us in the studio today is Mr. Fred Nantogma. He is the Knowledge and Communications Officer at BasicNeeds. Mr. Nantogma, you are welcome.
Thank you very much.
Right. So without wasting any more time, would ask you to kindly give us an overview of BasicNeeds. You are here because you are very much involved with mental health in Ghana. So kindly tell us in a brief.
All right. Good morning once again. And what I would basically say is that BasicNeeds Ghana is a member of the BasicNeeds family worldwide. And we are in all the continents in the world, of course, in selected areas in the world. Our main aim is to bring mental health or to improve the mental health services of our constituents, of the people in the world. In Ghana, we would summarize our work as enabling people with mental illness live and work successfully in their communities. This involves getting them access to medication, improving their livelihoods, and also getting them to be integrated in their communities. Okay. So it's a holistic approach, but it is a communal approach.
Okay. What's the general outlook for the care of the mentally ill in Ghana?
To answer this question, we would have to know where we are coming from.
Okay.
Let's say even 5 years ago, it was quite bleak. It was very bleak in the sense that treatment services were not so available as they are now. Now we are lucky with the passage of the mental health law. Treatment services are more accessible. People in our communities can now just walk into any hospital and access treatment, at least on paper. Okay. That's supposed to be happening.
All right.
The hospitals are still 3. We still have the 3 psychiatric hospitals in Ghana, Ankafo, Pantang, and Accra psychiatric hospitals. But with the passage of the law, every region is now supposed to have a hospital, a mental health hospital. Okay. So currently, there's improvement, so there's hope. If to answer your question in a summary, that's what I would say.
So we've moved from a position of bleakness to a position of hope.
Definitely.
Okay, which means that we've not really gotten to the point where we can rest on our oars and say that we have.
We are really far from that point.
Oh, wow. Yeah. All right. Last week, in the Ghanaian Times, it was published that there's going to be a move to clear mentally ill patients from the city streets. Yep. And BasicNeeds played a very vital role in that meeting. We would want you to give us some information on that project. How is that going to come about?
Actually, it isn't a BasicNeeds Ghana project. What I would probably say about it is that it is a prescription of the Mental Health Act, Act 846, Article 73, which allows the police to move people with mental illness who are located at public places or public spaces to seek treatment in mental health facilities. Okay. Now, to zone in on your question directly, this particular exercise is a pilot to see how we can continue or sustain it, at least from the lessons learned. And it's going to begin next week on the 20th. And an initial number of 5 candidates, if we may call them so, would be taken off the street, sent to a psychiatric hospital, treated and discharged. So we are looking at that by the end of this month, about 10 people would have gone through this exercise. Now, the people present would be, the human resource present will be the police, of course, then a social welfare officer, then a psychiatric nurse, then possibly a psychiatrist, then maybe an ambulance.
Okay. Yeah. All right. But you've mentioned that you are going to move them from the streets to a psychiatric hospital. Perhaps before I ask this particular question, can you give us what the mental health law has come to change, or what it seeks to change in the care or service for mentally ill in Ghana?
Well, if I would probably draw an analogy,
Sure.
I would say consider that you were very hungry and your mother is preparing food, and you can already smell the aroma.
Makes me all the more hungry.
Definitely. Now, the law, I wouldn't say on the mental health law has been actually touted by the World Health Organization as one of the best laws or best mental health laws produced all over the world.
Wow.
And we are happy.
And Ghana usually gets that, don't we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, the thing is this. The implementation is taking so much time. So yes, the law by itself has very good things in it.
When was it actually passed into law?
It was passed in 2012.
Okay.
It was passed in 2012. Then it was supposed to be implemented over a period of time.
Okay.
Now, as we speak now, the LI is still under draft. It is not. It has not been passed. The mental health fund hasn't been passed. The mental health authority was only passed late last year, and with it, the mental health board. So you can see that it's taking so much time. And if there's an authority without a funding base, you realize that nothing really moves. So maybe I would probably just use this as an opportunity to speak to our lawmakers and whoever has a stake in this particular activity of making sure that the mental health law is fully implemented, to probably attach a bit more urgency to the matter, because there are people on the ground who are willing to work, but then we need to also give them encouragement by making sure every facet of the law is at work.
Okay. So how is the mental health law going to change the status quo? I mean, from that bleakness to the position of hope, and to the point where we know that our mentally ill brothers and sisters have a safe, or are being well taken care of. How is that law going to change things?
Okay, at least for now, beginning from the top level, there's going to be a decentralized mental health service.
Okay, and
delivery.
by that you mean?
From the national level, you have the mental health board through the supervision of the mental health authority. The mental health authority through the supervision of the mental health board, seeing to it that nationally mental health is accessible at the district, then at the community level, and even at the regional level also. Now, another thing is, anyone with mental illness can just walk into any medical facility and seek mental health services there. Unlike I would say current previous situation where you can only access mental health services in a psychiatric unit.
Okay, please take that again so that we get it clearly.
Okay, now the thing is this.
The mentally ill patient can walk into
any facility, any medical facility.
So you mean any hospital, clinic, polyclinic,
chips,
hospital,
compound.
Okay.
That's the expectation.
Okay.
And get mental health services there.
Okay. So currently, someone with mental illness cannot go to a general hospital.
Some general hospitals, because the human resource to take care of mentally ill people aren't just there.
Okay.
And that brings me to another improvement the mental health law is supposed to bring about. That's training more psychiatric nurses or officers to deal with mental illnesses across board.
Okay.
So you are looking at training of psychiatrists, specialists. You're looking at training of community mental health officers. You're looking at training of community psychiatric nurses and other community psychiatric workers to make sure that there's no lack of staff to man these services.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So then each of these staff, psychiatric, specialized staff,
specialist staff,
would be found in almost every
that is the idea.
health facility according to the mental health law, right? That's the idea.
Yes.
That's where we are moving to.
Yeah.
All right. And so this is something that was not happening before.
The whole Ghana hasn't got up to 20 psychiatrists.
Wow.
And the funny aspect of it is that the 3 northern regions have only 1 available psychiatrist, who is located in Tamale.
Psychiatrist 1?
Yes.
Okay.
So when you take Upper East, Upper West, and Northern region, there's only 1 psychiatrist located in the Tamale Teaching Hospital, who is supposed to be attending to people from all these places.
And the other 19 are located south?
I'm not saying they are 20. I'm saying they are less than 20.
Okay.
Now, when you take the facilities themselves, we have only 3 psychiatric hospitals in Ghana. And all of them happen to be located on the coastal belt. So you have the 2 in Accra area, then 1 in the central region. Now, the law is supposed to make sure that every region has a psychiatric hospital or a specialist psychiatric facility. It's also supposed to make sure that there's a lot of research going on into psychiatry, the training of staff in psychiatry, and also making sure that the Mental Health Board, which is the superseding organization formulated on probably the basis of, it's not the same level as Ghana Health Service, but it's supposed to also oversee specially mental health services in Ghana, have the funding to do their work, and that is by the establishment of the Mental Health Fund.
Is there anything that is going to address public attitudes towards the mentally ill? Because when you said part of the law provides that psychiatric staff are present in every health facility, that is. The question that comes to mind is, don't we foresee a time or the possibility that you get to the mentally ill patient gets to the hospital and is referred to the regional psychiatric hospital that, for ABC, you just go there. For ABC reason, go there. For ABC reason, go there. And how would the other patients who are non-mental health patients in the general clinics and hospitals also relate or handle the situation? I mean, I would want you to touch a bit on societal response to some of these measures that we seek to take and how the mental health law or the stakeholders would be addressing it.
First and foremost, it is important, actually very important, to know that mental illness is a spectrum. And all of us fall on one level of it or the other. The other thing is this: they are human beings. And so, as human beings and principally as members of our society, that is Ghana, if we are citizens of Ghana, they have every right, like you and I, to access treatment wherever they so deem it. So that is the basis for saying that they can now enter any facility and access treatment. Now, as far as stigmatization is concerned, it's a big problem, and it will do us no good to shy away from the fact that after years of education, people still persist in treating mentally ill people as if they are next to animals. And it is not helping. It isn't helping at all, because at the end of the day, it could be anyone. Current statistics show that 1 out of every 5 people is likely to suffer from one mental illness or another during the course of their lives.
Wow.
So that means if you count
5
people, begin counting from the 5th person, then count to yourself. Then you realize that you might be the 5th person who can suffer from mental illness. And we only see mental illness from the scope of those who are on the streets, who are walking naked, who are undressed, who look shabby. But we have mental illnesses like depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, in mild forms, which attack all of us in one form or another. And all of these need treatment. Right now, a lady breaks up with a boyfriend, gets heartbreak, gets depressed. Over time, you are supposed to get over it. But the person doesn't really get over it, then masks it, then diverse energies into doing anything. But the cause is still there, and it festers. Who addresses these things? And how do you say you are not suffering from mental illness?
Okay, so it means that a lot of us have to get checked.
Actually,
one way
yeah.
or the other.
Actually.
Right.
Yeah.
A question from Cape Coast, that's from Daniel. Please, my question is, how is the law going to help those in our various prayer camps?
The law actually addresses issues of human rights.
Okay.
And by that, everyone has the right to seek treatment where they so feel that the treatment could be beneficial to their health. So you can't actually tell a person not to go to the prayer camp for treatment.
Oh, okay.
So that is one.
Okay.
But the other thing is, once the person is at a prayer camp, what kind of treatment does the person suffer?
All right.
So that is what the law addresses, that you cannot chain the person,
Okay.
you cannot flog the person,
Okay.
you cannot hold the person against his or her consent. So the law even addresses issues of voluntary admittance to services,
Okay.
mental health services.
Okay.
Then involuntary, the procedures.
Okay. Okay.
So if the family so moves the person to a prayer camp, it is incumbent on them to also ensure that the person is not treated badly, or else a third person can actually take the matter on, and everybody involved will be in serious trouble.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then narrowing down on this pilot project that is impending,
Yeah.
the strategy is to move the few people from the mentally ill people from the streets to the psychiatric hospital, treat them, and bring them back to their families.
Definitely.
My question is, we just talked about stigmatization and how we see people. Why back to the psychiatric hospital? Because that we see it as belonging to those who are mentally ill. When you go there, your case is so bad, and yet you are talking about trying to get other members of the society to be more receptive to them after treatment. So why not rather some kind of community-based rehabilitation or treatment? Why back to the psychiatric hospital?
Firstly, the person being on the street is as a result of people not caring for the person enough to keep the person in the house. So that is one. But secondly, and more importantly, is the fact that the psychiatric hospitals have all the human resource capable of dealing with any level of mental illness. But that is not to say that communal mental health is not good. Actually, Basic Needs is all about community mental health.
Okay.
We are involved in making sure that we actually share your fears in promoting stigmatization. Once a person has to be uprooted from their roots to seek treatment in a medical institution, and the person is finished with treatment and has to go back. We are actually on the same page.
It has been on the news for over a period.
But this is special in the event that this pilot project is addressing people who are found in public places.
Okay.
Sorry. And people found in public places basically means that there's no one immediately responsible for them.
Okay.
And so you cannot speak of a community.
Well, but I mean, if Makola knows that there is a rehab center situated close by,
it will still be an institution.
Yes, but it will be closer to everyone or most people than...
When we talk of community in this sense, we refer to, let's say, I'm from Gushegu. And in Gushegu, we have a homegrown mentally ill person or someone who is in the community but is from the community also. So a communal approach would be to make sure that the family of the person gets involved in the treatment of the person by sending the person to hospital, making sure that he's taking care of his treatment and other stuff. You understand? Now, what we are addressing now is a different matter.
Okay.
We are addressing people who have probably moved kilometers away from their communities, and nobody really knows where they are from.
Yeah.
But they are found in our public spaces, in our streets and others. And we cannot leave them to be there without attending to their mental health.
Okay.
So it is specifically geared towards these people,
Okay.
so that, yes, the psychiatric hospitals are better equipped, even though they also suffer serious deficits in terms of resources.
Okay.
But they are better than a lot of places.
Okay.
To take these people from the streets, treat them to a level where they can be able to at least cope in a normal society, then move them back to where they are from. By that time, they would have actually investigated and found out where they are really coming from.
Okay, I was about to ask that, because if they've wandered several kilometers from where they originally are from, how are you going to find out where they come from? All right.
Yeah.
So investigations, and who are going to conduct those investigations?
Actually, once the person is even slightly better, the person can really tell you where he's coming from. Yeah.
And then another question: are mentally ill patients, do they ever get completely treated or cured?
Treated, yes. Cured, well, I would have to consult with the specialist.
Really? So we cannot be sure that someone who suffered mental illness is completely healed, or like back to sanity, as we would put it?
No, so back to sanity is, we have a range of behaviors we call normal.
Okay.
As I said, mental health is a spectrum.
All right.
So one day you might really dress in a way and your friends will say, look, something is not right with you. You understand? Or you comb your hair and you comb it some way, and people... So we have a range of things we do, and we call it normal behavior. So if you fall outside the scope of normal behavior, we say it is abnormal.
Yeah.
And that's how we're able to say that someone's behavior is outside of the scope of norm. Now, a person is treated and the person returns to normal behavior. But normal behavior is an oscillation. It's a spectrum, as I've already said. So once a person can behave normally and act normally, then it's good. It's like getting malaria. The first time you get malaria, that's actually when you are infected. Every subsequent time, I believe, is just a reinfestation of what was already in your system, triggered by different circumstances, maybe more mosquito bites. But once you get malaria, we are made to believe that you never really get cured. You only treat malaria.
Okay. Okay. So then there's the fear that sometimes mentally ill patients get violent. And there are people who can attest to, people at the psychiatric hospital see it, visitors witness it occasionally. So then how safe are those of us or who consider ourselves in a range where we think at least we are in a stable level of sanity? There's that fear that that person who has been treated and returned to the community may be triggered at any point in time and may behave violently. So how do you address that issue or as per the mental health bill and basic needs?
The mental health law allows for a minimum, like let me say, an appreciable level of restraint, or a reasonable amount of restraint.
Can we have some kind of definition to reasonable amount of restraint?
Reasonable is, to give the analogy, don't use a nuclear bomb to kill a mosquito. Like if the person only insults you and probably walks away, you don't have to also go and physically assault the person and hold the person. And you understand? Now, the thing is this. For us who even say we are normal, someone insults you and you get so angry you want to slap the person.
Yes.
So at that point, what do we say you are?
You're mad.
Well,
I mean,
but
sometimes I think part of the education is like when you say mad, I can get mad. I'm mad at someone.
You can get angry.
Yes, angry. But we use mad as a synonym for anger, which some of the education tells us that, so it is not that someone is mad. If, when I get angry, I don't call myself a mad person. And that's why we shouldn't use the word mad to describe other people. But of course, you are the expert, so you can educate us further on some of these terminologies.
No, the terminology is just using socially acceptable and respectful terms. Like usually terms you wouldn't want to be used on you. You do not use on them. Yes, the person is ill. What is the person suffering from? The person suffering from mental illness. So
simple.
Yeah.
So no one gets mad. We don't use the word mad for anyone, not the person in the psychiatric hospital, nor the one in the street.
And actually, for media people like yourself, these have been some of the things you have actually done very well in changing. Take newspapers or reportage of about 7 years ago. You will see things like imbecile, idiot, mad, crazy.
Yeah.
But now we are seeing mentally ill person, mentally unstable, suffering from ill mental health. So we are using more socially acceptable
to describe the phenomenon rather than ascribe labels to it. But sometimes, I mean, in normal discussions, people would say something and then their friends would retort, you are crazy, you know, that kind of.
That's a different context. You you don't see a mentally ill person on the street and say, ha ha, you are crazy. You don't do that. You understand?
No, yes.
So if you are saying this in a very jovial manner and this thing, of course, within that context, that isn't really what you mean. You just mean the person is probably hilarious.
All right.
But if you see, I practically would want to see that, that you can laugh to a person with mental illness and, you know, share jokes. In our work, we go to the villages. You know, we are into communal mental health. We go into villages, and you tend to see a lot of these people. And they've been, from afar, you would be made to believe as if they are the most violent of people. But when you get to them, they are reactive. If you get to them and you do not come on to them so harshly, they are really they are mild.
Is it always the case?
The thing is this, you really never know what triggers their reaction. So it's usually safe to be cautious. But then you don't antagonize them. The person wants to be left alone and you still want to
be around.
So you also have to, that's basically respecting their boundaries.
Share some of your success stories with us, like how, since Basic Needs Ghana started operating, how many people have you been able to provide services for and have seen reintegrated with their families and their communities? Share some of that with us.
You know, Basic Needs started operations in Ghana in 2002. And it was only, it was a single program, the Basic Needs Ghana program. Actually, at that time, it was just a Basic Needs program in Ghana. But as at 2012, Basic Needs became autonomous in that we had reached a threshold when the Basic Needs charity, managed by Basic Needs UK Trust, realized that we had built enough solid ground to be able to be left to handle matters from here on. Of course.
That's from which year?
This from 2012. This is not to say that we are totally isolated, because Basic Needs Ghana still belongs to the Basic Needs Federation. Now, our successes include one, making sure that the mental health law was passed. We didn't pass it, but we made the right noises. We advocated, and the parliamentarians saw the merits in the cases we presented to them. And they eventually passed the law. And I actually would like to thank them for that. Now, other interventions we have brought is, because we have drawn a link between mental illness and poverty. Because once a person gets mentally ill, the probability that the person would eventually get poor is really high. Because you spend a lot of money looking for treatment from all manner of corners. And you really deplete your resources, apart from those who are not able to also work as a result of their illness. carers who are not able to go to work because their wards are suffering from mental illness.
Okay.
Now, we have enabled a lot of people also engage in livelihood training exercises.
Okay.
So those who would want to go back to seamstressing, those who would want to learn a trade.
And they are able to do well in these vocations.
Definitely.
And are
definitely
self-established.
Self-established.
Okay.
Now, some of them were already working before. I don't know whether you've seen the story of Francis. Francis was a teacher. That's Francis Kubila.
Okay.
He was a teacher. Then he suffered from substance-induced psychosis. So he was chained to a log by his carers because he was at times violent. Now, eventually, Basic Needs was contacted. We enabled Francis to access treatment. And now he's stabilized so much that he's gone back to teaching. You understand?
Yeah.
We have those who were also suffering from mental illness.
Okay.
Were students, but because of this, they had to withdraw from school. But now they've been able to go back to school and successfully completed. Then the artisans and the farmers, actually, those who have been trained in horticultural agriculture, so that they can also be able to fend for themselves, at least.
All right. Great. We have a message from Obama Akwetia. Please, I wish the law will take its course because we are with mental people around our areas and we sometimes get dirty slaps from them whenever we meet them. So these are some of the issues that we were asking Fred about, the violence and all. This is going to be a lengthy discussion. We cannot exhaust all the concerns right now. At this point, we have to bring the discussion to an end. But we promise that we'll continue to the best of our ability so that the issues that we need to understand as Ghanaians will be thrashed out. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Nantogma. We appreciate your time. Mr. Nantogma is the Knowledge and Communications Officer at Basic Needs, and he has joined us today in the discussion on mental health service delivery in Ghana, tying it in with the mental health law and the activities that are being undertaken to see it to implementation. Thank you, viewers, for joining us on the issue, and thank you for joining us on the First Line Morning Show. Tomorrow, God willing, we'll be with you once again. So remember that as a fresh week, a fresh day, a new morning, do your best. Know that the mercies are out there for you. The Lord's compassions never fail. So just embrace them and use them throughout the day. Have a good day and see you tomorrow, God willing. Bye-bye.